What's up, guys? We are here live on The Real Virtual Show. I am your host, Malia Probst, and we are joined today with the virtual international man of mystery. He goes by the pseudonym Gunter S. Thompson. Gunter, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Malia. Yeah, I guess I do go under the pseudonym of Gunter S. Thompson, or maybe that's my real name. Who knows?
I'm hoping that a tiny Gunter came out and your mother named you Gunter S. Thompson, because that would make your mom probably the coolest ever.
She's pretty cool.
So Gunter is the host of VRChat.net, or he's the events manager for VRChat.net, and he is host of a talk show that takes place in virtual reality called Gunter's Universe. And we are going to pick Gunter's brain on what all of that means. But first, Gunter, I want to start super broad. Okay. Let's start super broad. What is virtual reality, and why should we care about it?
Well, virtual reality is a lot of things. It's a bit hard to define, and I've thought about the word like VR. What does that mean to some people? It means virtual like worlds like Second Life and you know, just the inner sides of the worlds inside computers. But virtual reality to me, and what I think is true virtual reality, or at least the virtual reality that I think we're getting interested in, is when you have some sort of head-mounted device that allows you to have full head tracking inside of the world, inside of a computer-generated world, to have a basically 360-degree field of view. Eventually, right now it's limited, but you can look anywhere you want. You are in another place. It feels incredible. It's also a platform. You know, it's a medium. It's not just TV screens now. Now the screen is the whole world, and so imagine the screen being able to turn into anything you want it to, or what any developer could create for it. And then some say it's the final kind of platform that it's much bigger in scope than just being something for entertainment value, that it's just a toy to add on to gaming, but that it is since you can simulate anything in this VR space, you therefore could do anything and have any other mediums a part of it. So I don't know. It's hard to define.
It's hard to define something that can and will affect basically everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you possibly describe it? And what we're going to focus on today is sort of what you specialize in, which is social virtual reality and the social aspect of virtual reality. And so that's what we're here to talk about with you. But let's back up just a moment and talk about a couple of other industries, or a couple other sectors that you are really looking forward to being developed in virtual reality. What are a couple of industries that you see being revolutionized by virtual reality, by this technology, perhaps by augmented reality as well? What are you looking forward to?
A lot of things. I'm interested in just kind of the overall, like how VR, what it's going to touch. And I think it's going to touch everything. And I'm curious what it touches first. But an easy one is education. You know, being able to, we do online courses now, and I enjoy being able to learn things from home. So I'm looking for the day when we have really rich education experiences for both myself, of course, for our education system, our children. I think it's a super compelling way to learn, to be able to simulate, I don't know, woodshop class. For some reason I come up with that as an example, but have all the tools there, and I can learn how to do that. And if I won't cut my hand off, there's a person, and like, again, since I've played in social VR for a couple of years now, I know what it's like to have another person embodying an avatar that feels to scale like another person that's right there with me. So a teacher would go very well with this. I'm already learning from people in these social spaces, because we all learn from each other, but an actual, you know, an application that's driven for that, or maybe teaching medical stuff where you can explode the anatomy of a human being or any type of creature. I mean, it just blows open the doors of education. I'm sure that's going to become big here. And I think Oculus will be pushing this and behind a bunch of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, education is really, really, really interesting. And the traditional model of learning and of teaching doesn't work for most. Yeah, thumbs down. Thumbs down. It doesn't work for most people.
Yeah.
And I speak for myself when I say that I'm an experiential learner. I learn when I do things. I learn when I get in there and I'm hands-on, and I can't even imagine how much smarter I would be now if when I was a child, I would have had a different way of learning things like math and science. And it would have opened up an enormous world for me. And I'm a little jealous of the kids who get to look forward to.
Yeah, I'm going to be that old man, get off my VR lawn later going, you kids had it too easy. My day, we only had head tracking. We couldn't, I don't know, use our legs and feet to walk across the planet.
We had to walk uphill both ways to get our FPK1.
Using our Omni, Virtuix Omni, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we only had the X and Y axis, guys. So, okay, you are the events manager at vrchat.net, as well as host of Gunter's Universe, as we have discussed. What are those things? What is vrchat.net, and what is Gunter's Universe?
Okay, so VRChat is a social VR platform, an app that you can download. You don't have to have a virtual reality headset. You can just use your screen. It's just like any other game or demo. There's worlds there where people are at. You can use your microphone to talk with them. But it's built with VR in mind. It's specific to VR in mind. And most of the people there have VR headsets, and that's what they're getting out of it. They're getting out of this place to hang out with people, place to chat with people, place to build now with people, place to see events with other people, a place to have fun and hang out. And VR chat essentially comes down to, it's a place where you can bring in any 3D content and make it social and shareable. So VR chat itself is the framework. It's the place that allows you to build what you want. You use the engine Unity to bring in any of your 3D content and export it with the VRChat SDK. It's a simple process. You upload your world, your room, your avatar, if that's what you want. And now it's shareable and social, and it's really profound. So that's VRChat. Gunter's Universe is a talk show that I do every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. And I bring out different developers and entrepreneurs, people doing all kinds of VR stuff in the VR scene. It's basically what you're doing as well, interviewing people in this scene and having a good time at it, having a good time at exposing them maybe to social VR. Sometimes the guest, it's their first time in a social VR application, and to really, everybody comes back from it like, wow, I felt like I was at a talk show. That was kind of one of the most interesting interviews I've ever had. There's something going on here with VRChat and the variety of custom content. This is a user-based, all the content's made by the users, and so the creativity is out of control, and it's really unique. And I love doing a little talk show. It's kind of like, I don't make games, but I make talk shows, or I make events.
The one that, and when I say the one, I mean the kind of the user-generated content that was featured on your show last week that I was able to have a voyeuristic perspective on. I was able to watch it through the live streaming aspect. It was a bubble, and everyone walked into the bubble, and then it transported you. What was that? What exactly was it? Can you really spell out to us what these worlds can look like and what the chat looks like? We're actually there in virtual reality.
So yeah, the experience, so the bubble, I don't know if you're talking about the portal.
Yes.
You can, basically VRChat has the ability to bring up a portal to another room. So let's say we're in the campfire room and we're having a meetup and we're just chilling around a campfire and it's dark out and you hear the crickets and stuff. And it's really great to just be sitting on logs and with people that look like they're sitting on logs, and whatever avatars, humanoid avatars, Wolverine could be sitting over there, whatever people want to be in these worlds. And if so, let's go to Gunter's Universe, and I got big screens there, and we can sit around a round table there and do a discussion. So I throw open a portal, just tell it to be there, and now you can walk through that, essentially loads up the other room, and then you come to that spot. So it's kind of a way to travel around our little, could be called metaverse.
I mean, everyone always says that virtual reality is going to be so isolating. Virtual reality is going to make us less social. We put on headsets that quite literally obscure our view of quote unquote the real world. Isn't that true? How could we possibly connect with people with technology?
Okay, so yeah, there's the naysayers. I mean, these naysayers must be nay on all kinds of things, and you know, it's kind of
I gotta play devil's advocate.
yeah, and they're there, and they're gonna be there. So they probably haven't even really experienced VR. That's a lot of these people haven't even put the headset on, or they put a cardboard on, which that doesn't count in my opinion. You got to experience social VR. I think if you're an isolating type of person, or your phone is a hugely isolating device, you could sit there and be with your family on the couch, but never even interact with them or think about them. You could be completely engaged on your tablet and socializing with your friends there, playing video games. So that's isolating. I think VR is just going to give you another tool to, I guess, isolate, consume games. But it doesn't mean you have to only be playing games. There's this whole social aspect of things, social as in meeting people, hanging out, doing events, learning from them. It just like video games now have social components. I think those are healthy aspects when you're playing games with friends. It also is going to apply into VR. But then there's new levels like telepresence, like working in VR. You can have like your team meetup in VR where you all are distributed team throughout the globe, but you can all feel like you're in a stand-up meeting there in front of each other. It's not isolating. It potentially can be, quite social. It is social. I think social is going to be the key to virtual reality, because now when you're like a body, an avatar in a place, you feel like you are you, and you're a social creature by nature. And so you're more vulnerable to being a person than, say, in a video game that's just on a screen. You don't really feel like that. It's your character until you're really in it, and it's quite novel. But we already isolate ourselves and with all kinds of media, and I say get off your phone and stop writing that, and go stop isolating yourself and go find somebody and do social VR with, something like that.
Yes, I like it. I'm a obviously big proponent of technology and the capability to bring people together. Right now we're on a live streaming platform. Where are you located in the world?
South Florida.
Gotcha. So you're in South Florida. I'm in Los Angeles. Later this week, I'm interviewing someone from Australia. Next week, it's a guy from the UK. And this is technology that is enabling people from all over the world to get together and share perspectives, share opinions, and share ideas. And I think that is something that is amazing. And this, I think it's phenomenal. I'm really excited to see other ways, specifically with virtual reality, that can help bring people together and help maybe widen our worldview a little bit, maybe widen our perspective a little bit. So
I want to hit on that a little more. So it's less isolating because now I know people from France, from Germany, from Sweden, from Japan, from Australia. I didn't know any. I mean, I could have maybe found these people on the internet other ways. I happened to use VR to find these people, but VR is attracting a global audience. VR, essentially, what these technologies that we're doing, and what ultimately VR does is it gets rid of the problem of distance. Distance is something that it takes time. It's a problem, and you've got to deal with it. But right here, we didn't have to do anything to get this video feed going, really. Just 10 or 20 minutes of technical difficulties, and then here we are. And then if we were in VR right now, we would feel even closer to that real-life connection. And you can extrapolate to 10 or 20 years from now, you're going to be with people from all over the world, creating this global village inside of VR, and have potential to learn so much more. I'm learning things from this diverse other groups of people that I never thought I would know, or I'm empathetic for other places in the world, and consider myself a person of the world now because of social VR, than just whatever I was before, isolated in my own state.
I love that, person of the world now thanks to virtual reality. That's poetically said. I see quite a few questions about how do people access this. Can you really lay it out there? How does a total noob, how do they sign on to vrchat.net, and how do they find you and Gunter's universe on vrchat.net?
Yeah, sure. So, well, there's two things. Do you have a headset, a virtual reality headset, and don't you? It doesn't matter. You can still do VR chat. Just your experience is going to be different. So getting a headset's going to be a little difficult right now because there are no Rifts to buy, and the HTC Vive is not coming out right now. So you have to wait till about March, I think, to get the virtual reality part. But you don't have to wait till then to at least get involved, start meeting the community, and getting a lot out of it. And then when the day your headset comes, it's going to be quite amazing. We've had that happen. We know people that were part of our community, and the day they got their headset, it was like, yay, now you're here with us. But this is what you do. You go to vrchat.net. And that is where the client is. You download vrchat.net just like any other program out there. It's super simple. There's not a bunch of stuff you got to do. You do need to sign up for an account just like anything else. And so you install it, and you do need, well, if you're just doing it on desktop without the Oculus Rift, it'll just run. If you have an Oculus Rift, you'll need the Oculus Runtime 0.8. So that's the latest runtime. If you try to do it on the old stuff, sorry, it's going to give you problems. But you can always reach us through vrchat.net's contact page, or we're active in the Oculus subreddit. And I'm Gunter. You can find me at guntersuniverse.com. You can find me, all kinds of Skype or email or however you want to get in contact with me. I'd like to help everybody. So you get VRChat, you turn it on, and you got your name and password in there. And so now what do you want to do? You want to visit a room, or do you want to change your profile, which is your avatar? And then there's some settings. So of course you look at the rooms, you find out what rooms are available that have people in. Those are the first rooms that come up. And so pick one of those. That's where the people are. It's, go say hello to a couple of people. So you click on that room, and now you're in a world with people. You got to use, traditional ways to move around like a game environment, keyboard and mouse, or you can use your trusty, Xbox controller. And that will do. So as long as you're familiar enough with those, you can just run around, and then you press the V key, V as in voice, hold that down and say, hello out there. Are you guys real? And then they'll confirm they are.
Dr. Livingston, I presume.
It's very, very basic. So jump in, and then we can lead you the rest of the way since we're real people. If there's any difficulties or troubles, we're right there.
I have found, as I've kind of gotten to know more people in the virtual reality community, how kind everyone is and how helpful everyone is. And everyone really, really seems very welcoming and say, hey, come in, I'll teach you this. I'll help you learn this. Hey, point over here. And everyone seems very, very, very hospitable. Everyone's been very hospitable.
Everybody's very humble, and just, I don't know exactly why. I guess it's because it's such a small group of people that are intelligent, that are wanting to see something like this succeed. So you just get a good people around that, and they like their reputation in the community. So we're all, interested in keeping a good reputation. So I'm just really thrilled. I got to meet tons of people in social VR, and then they brought me to their homes in, San Fran, in LA. I went to all these, like Oculus Connect 1 and 2 and SVVR and all these great meetups, all because I met these people in social VR.
Here's a lighter question, and then we're going to get into another question there next from Matt. Peekaboo wants to know, so where are the trolls on virtual reality? Are there not any trolls yet in the virtual reality community?
Shh, don't tell them. Don't tell them yet. There hasn't really been that much of an issue. Sure, we've had I can think of back in the Rift Max days, which is another social app that was kicking about a year ago. Somebody, there was a little award show in there, and somebody, really let out some profanity and then just left. So that they dealt with themselves. We can kick, we can mute in VR chat. I think I've had to mute once, twice, and I don't think I actually had to kick. But we've had some not just super annoying people, but that's not a reason to kick them or anything. But they're trying to be annoying, but not really super trolls. So if you're a troll out there, great. Hopefully don't come, but you don't tell trolls not to come, because that's where they're going to come. I do have a co-host, Mr. Whiskers. He's a cat who sits on my table. He's actually the biggest troll we have. He showed up one day, and with no name tag, nobody knows who he is. And I gave him a name, and he took to the name Mr. Whiskers. And he just meows, and then he poops on things too. So he's kind of a naughty kitty. So he uses my set as like a litter box, and I'm kind of at the whims of what Mr. Whiskers wants to do. And lately he dons a rocket launcher from the old GoldenEye 64, and he can shoot you with a rocket launcher, and you get kicked out of the room. So he deals with anybody, any trolls, basically. He's a kind of a living embodiment of a troll, and kicks people out.
That is
It doesn't
awesome.
really need to happen, but it's fun. Yeah.
That is amazing. That sounds like the most fun troll I've ever heard of. That is amazing. Here we have a good one from Matt. And
What's up, Rubik? What's up, Holotape?
yeah, it's pretty cool seeing all of the people that I've seen in VRChat.net and then Rubik from AltSpace kind of come over here and check it out, because this is really about getting the virtual reality experts and people who have been doing it for a long time, and it's about getting those people that really, really know about it and getting it into a little bit more of a mainstream audience. And then audience on Blab, we have a lot of creatives, we have a lot of tech people, we have a lot of entrepreneurs. So it's saying, hey guys, learn from these people, see what's going on, and see all of the amazing opportunities that perhaps you might want to take advantage of. Perhaps you want, and so it's really about kind of unpacking the mystery. And so thank you for helping me do that. So the question is, what happens when virtual reality crosses the chasm and gets to the early majority, where it seems like the addictive?
I'll be addicted. I'm already addicted. So it's like, do you want this from the perspective of somebody that's addicted? I can imagine some experiences that are going to be so good, like they are going to continue to become really, really good. They're going to surpass even what real life looks like, because you can make everything vibrant and beautiful, or heavenly experiences, or anything that your imagination can think of. So it's going to be hard to want to come down from that. But we're horribly addicted to our phones. We're horribly addicted to all kinds of drugs and medications. And I just think that you're just going to have to do things in moderation, like you do everything else. You're going to have to not spend all your time in there. You do have to use the bathroom, and you could get your IV of Soylent and maybe get fed that way. So
everything in moderation, including moderation, as the great Mae West said.
Oh, did she?
She did.
Yeah.
She has.
No, I think she takes some risks. You don't have to moderate all the time, right?
Absolutely. So your real name is not Gunter S. Thompson. You are a virtual man of mystery, shrouded in mystery. So how and why did you adopt the pseudonym Gunter S. Thompson?
Well, it's not really a big deal, actually. I just wanted some sort of handle this go around on the internet. A lot of social media and other things, that was just my normal name. And I wanted to be I'm in VR, in VR, I'm going to be like whoever I want to be. And so I'm going to pick a name this time. I guess I had my World of Warcraft name, but I wasn't going to be Erowid here. I wanted something that sounded like a real name. But I was a fan of Ready Player One, which is where part of that comes from. Most people, I'm sure, in the VR community are aware of it. It's a great VR science fiction related book with a lot of 80s references that I very much enjoy. Gunters were a thing. They were a type of person. They were egg hunters. They were seeking secrets, basically. They were seeking eggs. And so I kind of consider myself a seeker of VR, a seeker of these hidden gems inside the social VR world, inside the VR world. So, I'm a Gunter, and so I just took the name part of it, since Gunter is a somebody's name is Gunter out there, and just felt like I could blend the two. Like you guess you wouldn't know if I was a real person or not. And then I ended up filling out like the Gmail and like a Reddit profiles. I needed a last name, right. So I'm like, okay, all right, well, let's get myself full name here. And it's like, well, I love Hunter S. Thompson, and then it's like, well, that fits really well, Gunter S. Thompson. Here we go. And then it's been fun since. I mostly just go by Gunter. And if you want to know my real name, you just have to come to VR chat and ask me inside VR, and I'll let you know.
I'll get there. I will absolutely get there. So Rubik has a good question, and so this is kind of referencing the fact that some virtual reality is so good and you feel like you are there so much How we experience and how we react to virtual experiences are the same as how our body reacts to real life experiences. Our bodies cannot tell the difference. We have the same type of stress from a tiger coming at us or an angry boss coming at us. So our body reacts the same way in this fight or flight. So our body can't tell that the stressor, the perceived threat is just perceived and that it's virtual. So Rubik wants to know, on that point, what game, what app do you think will cause the first death in VR? What's going to be so high octane, so just a blast to the old heart that it could cause some serious negative consequences, if not death?
Well, I mean, there's no like name of it right now. I mean, I don't think anything that's on the market's going to do that. I'm looking forward to seeing what does cause the first death. It's probably going to happen. It's going to be interesting news. It could be, some sort of horror experience, or on the other side, we can go back to the addicting part where the first death might be somebody that's just horribly addicted and won't leave the world. Like we've seen deaths in MMORPGs where people won't go to the bathroom or drink water for days and days, and they just die playing a game, which is the most ridiculous thing I can imagine. But I imagine that's for sure going to happen inside a virtual reality environment. But I suppose horror experiences are going to give some people heart attacks. And, I've had like whoa moments just in normal, like something came flying at me in the virtual environment, not in a horror experience, but just like startling things. So I imagine if you could startle the hell out of somebody, and yeah, but I don't know what exactly is going to cause that. Probably something Rubik makes. That's what's going to cause the first.
So already tried and convicted, Rubik.
Yep, you did it with the VR. In alt space.
So what's your background, Gunter? How did you get here? What was that magic moment for you when virtual reality clicked and you said, this is something that I have to keep doing?
Was when I took that peyote back 2 years ago. No, it like background on me is I was IT director for many years at a nonprofit. Then my current job is web designer, graphic designer for a company out here in the Southeast. And now I work for VR Chat as well. So that's my second gig. And what really, like, we're talking about, like, what was the moment of like VR hit me was when I got my DK1 and I tried the first experiences. So I tried the Tuscany demo, the very first demo you could try on the Oculus Rift, the DK1. And that was like, wow, this is virtual reality. My whole head is tracked. This damn thing is actually working. Super cool. Oh, I feel a little queasy. I'm going to set this down for a little while. And then I tried Little Son of the Microstar, I think was the next demo. And so it was like those two demos within the first, like, I don't know, 30 minutes that are my first impressions of VR.
So could virtual reality be the next social network? Could this be the next social platform?
No, like these things are weird because it's like a platform. It's a platform, but like, so Facebook owns Oculus. Of course, Facebook's going to want to do something with that. Right now, it's all about research. It's a long game. The funding, the long plan of real good VR, get as much in there. And how is this going to affect communication and your friends and family? Facebook right now, you share your life and your events with your friends, family there via photos, 360 photos now, other types of media sharing. In the future, virtual reality is going to be a big part of that. You're going to go into a VR space with your family and have fun, play games. I don't know, with like the Oculus Toy Box, you can do ping pong and shoot laser guns, or it's going to be anything at that point. And also then relive moments. We are going to be able to capture live video of our area, so why not be able to relive the birthday of a grandkid? Those are things that Facebook's going to want to do. And then I imagine all of the big, giant corporate, give me all your data companies will be doing the same thing. But I think when VR transcends to where it's all small glasses, goggles that you wear, and we don't use our iPhones and phones anymore, those go away, then it's kind of different. Like, it's now where everything happens in. So all the social platforms are in VR. It's this whole tricky thing of like, what is virtual? Like, it gets tricky, in my opinion.
Would you mind digging in a little bit about the roots of social virtual reality?
Yeah.
How did social VR start? What were the beginnings? How has it evolved? And then how have recent developments, such as Oculus's launch of Social Alpha, how are those significant to this timeline of the evolution of social VR?
Okay, so the timeline that I can start from, and it's what I'll consider like, it's the renaissance of VR, is when the Oculus DK1 came out, and that when I got mine was May of 2013, and it'd only been out for a couple months then. I don't think there was anything social that you could do then, but a couple months later, end of July of 2013, Minecraft. Stella Artois is a member of the community, and he's a modder in Minecraft. He mods Minecraft so that we can use it in VR, and it's a really good experience. It's well done. You don't have to rebuild Minecraft, because this was working really well. It's great virtual reality, and we have positional audio, so we could actually talk to people that are over there, but they would sound like they're 20 feet away. You'd have to go up, get close to them to actually hear them, or you'd hear them fall off a cliff and screaming and crying, and you need to go rescue them in Minecraft. So it was very social. We were building things, and I was even starting to develop a roundtable discussion show in Minecraft. So that was the first 6 months for me of my Rift DK1 career, is trying to be social in Minecraft. I wasn't a big Minecraft player. I just had other people build cool stuff in Minecraft that then we would all experience in and be in, and then do stuff and have some events there. So that's Minecraft. And then right as that's going on, you have a couple others being developed, Janus and RiftMax. So those are the next two to come on the scene. I couldn't tell you which one exactly was first. It just depends. RiftMax started as a theater, but then became a place for events. And when it became a place for events is when it got really social. And so that would be like the end of 2013 and into 2014 is when those things are really rocking. And RiftMax has events like a karaoke night, which was a big deal. Some people in the chat attended the karaoke night. It's just a big party. You wouldn't think karaoke in VR would be so cool, but it is. It's, if you like karaoke, if you don't like karaoke, it's probably actually even worse. But that was great. We had.
So would it make poor singers even worse?
A little bit. The audio quality is not as good, but no, you can go like this, and then you're okay. So you got some tools at your disposal to deal with that, and everybody accepted everybody, and it was just cool to see everybody experiencing. And there were some great singers, and there were some really beautiful moments. Some people could play the guitar and didn't have to actually do it karaoke style. So they also did a talk show called RiftMax Live that was with Reverend Kyle. A lot of people know him in the community. He's a big podcaster. He did a couple episodes of that, and then from my desire from Minecraft to create a kind of roundtable discussion show, and RiftMax having an opportunity there for me to do a talk show, I created my first talk show called Virtually Incorrect, and that ran for about 16 episodes back in the DK1 days. A lot of friends came on that, developed friends, had a lot of fun, and so that's those places. Janus, I haven't been in very much. It's a web browser, basically social VR experience where you can build with JavaScript and other languages like that. There's too many now that I can't spend my time enough, spread it around enough. So those happened. Then on the scene of 2014 in September at the SVVR meetup, not the conference, is Altspace. Altspace announces $10 million in funding. Get to try it there for the first time. They got some really nice, detailed, polished worlds. And a mission behind them. So they hire a bunch of people, and they're building out their space. And it's been about a year so far, and they got a lot of cool events going on over there. A little bit after Altspace, Converge, which is going to be the last one that I'll mention, came out, and they have a great community. I really like the people that hang out there. They're really solid and smart people. They approach things as a minimal polygon kind of approach. So this is going to work very well on the gear, for example, which is underpowered compared to your DK, your Oculus Rift kit that's hooked up to a full-blown computer. And that's enough of a history. There's probably some other guys in there that could be like, well, hey, we were social too, and we could, I might be forgetting them, but those are the big ones and the ones that I played in, and a lot of other people did.
So when we talk about the recent release, the recent launch of Oculus Social Alpha, Facebook bought Oculus for $2 billion last year, about a year and a half ago. Facebook has a very vested interest in making this successful, obviously. And so Oculus just released their first social application called Social Alpha. Would you mind sort of unpacking that a little bit? Have you experimented with that at all? Do you like it? And then how significant is that for the social VR community?
I think it's huge because more social VR is a big deal. We don't have enough of it. There's not really that many people in the virtual reality space right now that can support it because it requires you to attend it and give a lot of your attention. It's not just like download this, play it once, and you're kind of done with it. This is a ongoing check. Try to establish relationships with people. So Oculus Social brings this to a ton of people that have the gear, and the gear just launched its first consumer version about a month ago. And so there's been a huge spike of people using that application. And right now it's a limited experience of only 5 people can be in the room at the same time. And it's centered around a screen, a TV screen. You have the 5 people around there. I think I'd like to see it more centered around the people, not necessarily the screen. The content that you can pull up is very limiting. Some Vimeo, some Twitch. You can't even explore it all. Obviously, that stuff's going to change. That can easily be updated. There could be Netflix and all these other cool things. But more than just media consumption, it's more about hanging out. So that's really cool, and tons of people are checking it out. And tons of people will as they get their gears for Christmas. But the experience was basic compared to something like VR Chat or Alt VR, AltSpace, because the rooms are very basic. They're going to keep it simple. They want the performance to be top notch. It's not to say that something like AltSpace couldn't be, but that you don't get the customization. You don't get the avatar you want to be. Right now, you're kind of just a floating head, and there's 5 different ones, and that you don't even get to choose. I believe maybe you could switch seats, but it's not a full blown world. It's not go and traverse something that somebody created in their mind. It's not, hey, I want to be Batman and play around in Batman costume like cosplayers. I mean, that's what all these people in VR Chat right now are doing, is they're being cosplay and you can role play and do all this cool stuff. So that's like a box to watch TV in with people, and it's really cool, and a lot of people want to check it out. But on the grand scheme of social VR, it's not going to be as compelling to like have a virtual friendship and life there. I think it'll be kind of weak sauce.
Weak sauce.
Weak sauce.
What are some of the craziest avatars you've seen around social VR outside of Mr. Whiskers? What are some nutty things that you've seen, Gunter?
Shark. It could be a shark if you want, scare people by coming up behind them. We've got one guy who has his actual World of Warcraft player brought in. So he is embodying the character that he was, the way it looked, the armor, the weapon that it had. I think that's a pretty cool thing. We got a guy who's basically Star-Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy, but he adds a bunch of tools. So your avatar can be more than just a skin. It can actually be anything else that you can develop. So you can develop your own interface. So what he's done is he spawns a bus out of the sky. It's a hover bus that goes past us and then comes down and is there. It's the size of a real bus. It has sounds of a real bus, and we all can get on and sit on it. And then he drives us around because some of these worlds can be quite big. So it starts to become really crazy what you can do. What are some others? Aliens to giant robots. You can be as big as you want to be. It's easy in Unity. I can just take my avatar and say, make it 10 times the size, or make it small. You can be a little ant, and that's what it looks like from your perspective. Some people have little buddies that follow them now. I just saw that happen. They spawn a little anime creature, and it follows them. Like, this is all because they're talented at learning how to develop. Really, a lot of these people have never developed before, and so VR Chat's giving a platform for people to like easily get into Unity development, which Unity is already easy. But this just gives you like, hey, just use a little bit of Unity to kind of get a lot of out of social VR, and VR chat makes the connection really, really simple.
So if social VR is worldwide, how are the language issues handled? And then do you know of any real-time translations? For example, I know that there's some translation functionality with things like Skype. So once we integrate that kind of translation, that could erase language barriers. Where is that right now?
Right now, everybody in social VR learns how to speak English. That's basically where it is. Like, I don't come across any sort of language barriers that it doesn't involve with somebody basically end up speaking English. But I'm sure somebody's working on that kind of technology, and there really does need to be like that translation. I imagine it'll be its own standalone program, but if that stuff can get packaged and pushed out and other people can adopt it into their platforms like VR chat or one of the others, like that's huge. I can't wait till the day that I'm already talking with people all across the world, but then I can talk to even the people that don't know English. Like how interesting is it going to get? And I'm not somebody that's really, I haven't had to gone through translators or have anything like that. So the whole possibility would be novel and cool. So I don't know what the state is, but I do think like voice recognition, talking to your environment and your computer and being interpreted, whether that's going to be to understand you for your commands of your virtual world or how to translate that into speech that somebody else can understand in their language. It's something that's going to be desired, but it sounds like it'd be a ways off.
So to kind of elaborate on avatars, there's a concept of body ownership. When you get into virtual reality and you have agency, you can move around, you can affect things. Mm-hmm. How does that lead to us? How does that lead to tricking our brains that this virtual body is our body? How can we be convinced that this digital representation of us is real?
Well, it feels like you're it because it's as long as you have a humanoid bipedal avatar. If you have something weird, then it doesn't quite translate so well. But when it's something that looks humanoid, that helps. When it's something exactly fits your body type, and when we can track our legs and our hands and everything, and actually get that to be synced up, that's huge. But I think I think people are going to want to be avatars that look like themselves, and people are going to buy into that's you. And then when they see you offline, they'll be like, yep, that's Gunter. And then when he's online, he looks like him in real self too. And so there's no confusion of identity, even though I'm still going to want to cosplay basically. But I think eventually a lot of people are going to want to be their normal looking selves or enhanced. Like I might have future cool tech all over me that looks like I have superpowers in VR, but I think that kind of stuff, but you feel like that's what VR does for you. Even if I'm not playing, like if I'm playing any of these games, like I feel like I'm the character. So I think that's the thing that virtual reality does. Like you're seeing through the eyes of this other character as it would be like in real life if you were in that situation. If that answered the question.
It does actually answer the question. Absolutely. As the technology progresses and we're able to add more data input into virtual reality to kind of add stimuli to make us think that this is real, such as facial expressions or eye tracking, once we start adding those, can you kind of maybe unpack how we could see our facial expressions in real life, how that would be then mapped and translated in the virtual world, and then eye tracking, and then stuff like nonverbal cues and body language? How does that kind of sort of carry over into virtual reality?
Can't wait for more tracking and more tracking. Like right now, I feel like we're babies. Like all we've done is being able to open our eyes into VR. That's all we can do. We can't even, reach out and grab something like a baby could. We're not even that evolved yet. And so we're going to continue to evolve our abilities in these spaces. And it's going to get quite interesting. I think the next one that I'm really think that needs to be worked on is the audio. We need really good, realistic audio to really feel like we're here. Like audio can affect things to make it. There's this binaural audio stuff, and there's this one specific thing that's a banging on the door binaural track. And when it bangs on the door, I know that guy. It makes me, hi Rubik, it makes me feel it like boom, boom, boom. Like I actually feel it through my body, like somebody banging on it, like it's a material that somebody's hitting, but it's just audio. And then I hear it again and it fools me again. And then I hear it again and it still fools me. I can't get used to it and be like, oh, that's just some audio playing. Like every time my body reacts to it. So the magic and the tricks that audio is going to be able to play on us to make us feel something, or something's crawling on us, or the world is being affected is huge. Eye tracking, I can't wait till you can in my talk show see where I'm looking, and I want to be able to see if my audience is just looking the other way and they're totally bored. Like that'd be a really big deal for me. And then all those facial stuff would just be great. That's what's cool about being able to do the webcam stuff, is you can kind of see my face and me pick my nose, and I want people to see that.
Absolutely. Rubik, welcome.
Hey.
What's up, Rubik? What's up?
How you doing?
It's currently 4 a.m. So, but I'm used to it with social VR. I basically gave up my time of the day. I'm just living with
you have to
US people.
go by West Coast U.S. time, and you have to speak English. He's had to conform to social VR standards, which is currently that.
How long does the average user stay in VRChat.net? What's the average use time? Do you know?
Well, we have meetups and events every week. I'd say it's a couple hours for a lot of people every day. There's people in their building every day. And then at the meetup, it's like 4 hours. I would say it could be average. And like Gunter Universe show is a couple hours, but turns into 4 hours. When people get together, they don't normally want to like just leave. Like there's stuff going on. People are hanging. But it's hard for me to gauge like, an average. And there's days that there's somebody doing something there, but not like people hanging out a lot and doing chatting, but every day something, multiple days a week, parties basically.
Party all the time at VRChat.net. Rubik is with AltSpace. Do you happen to know the average user time in AltSpace? Do you have any clue what those numbers would be?
The numbers I got was about 10 minutes, but I think that's just the time going all around, the spaces that are available, and I'm pretty sure that's even more maybe for VR chat because there's way more rooms. But if people join usually, some of them don't have a mic or even speakers, and they basically leave after 30 seconds. The people we manage to talk to, if they speak English, can stay a few minutes, and we basically tell them to just try all the rooms. And the people that stumble upon an event, we probably stay like an hour or two, even more. So it really depends on when and on what they log in.
So what's preventing us from spending all of our time in social VR? What's preventing us right now?
Real life obligations, responsibilities, the outside world is a big thing.
Friends, family.
Yeah, that too. And, when you basically live during the night, I don't have any responsibility. I mean, I've spent sometimes more than 10 hours in a row in social VR, and I mean, it's fantastic, but I can imagine that for the people, have like kids and a job and a wife or husband, you can't do that. And that's a good thing, I guess, because sometimes you have to go back and do actually real stuff and think that matters. And I don't know.
It'll be interesting. Some people are going to push the limits. I'd say we're pushing limits, but there are going to be some far out people like trying to live in there and stuff.
So social VR, it has so many more applications than just hanging out, and what are ways that social VR is going to be used for collaboration, for business, for teams across the world? How do you see this applying to that specific sector?
So more than hanging out, but how can we be productive in social VR basically?
Yeah.
I mean, business is going to be all about this. Like they already do these types of things, these webinars, these group hangouts. I think being there in a virtual space is huge. You get you can then have all kinds of tools to work and show data and visualize. I mean, it's still being developed. We haven't seen a ton of stuff. I mean, the imagination's the limit. I'm a lot of that's boring in my opinion, like doing work and all that. I'd rather play around. But I guess you could do nonprofit work too. You could be like mobilizing people to get behind a cause and try to. I think Altspace was doing some sort of Red Ribbon Week, and is pioneering trying to do nonprofit work, which I think is where stuff like this needs to go. Second Life has done a lot of that. And I think we can learn from them.
So then getting back to the fun stuff, what about live events? How is virtual reality and social VR going to affect live events? What are some fun use cases that you're looking forward to?
How about you, Rubik? What are you looking forward to?
Well, the only person I've met from the community is Olivier, because I wasn't able to go to the US for SVVR or Oculus Connect 2. So like seeing the people that I talked to like for 100 hours in real life is going to be amazing. Even though I've seen the body of some people, it's weird to say, but some people in VR chat have 3D scanned avatars like Jesse and Car, and I've seen them in front of me, you know, they move like a penguin, but actually I saw them, I saw what they look like, and I know that, I mean, of course I know what they look like, but it's weird to have like something in real life size in front of you, even though you're in VR. So that's going to be amazing, I think.
I mean, we're going to be able to join with our friends for concerts or sporting events, any kind of live event, any music festival, any festival really.
Yeah.
Attending speeches, shopping together. Retail is going to be enormous. So there are so many incredible use cases for how people are going to be able to get together socially and interact in virtual reality.
It's whatever we like doing in normal life. Some of the things that VR Chat's doing just this week is you have my show tomorrow. This developer, Nathan Beatty, that has made a mini golf game for the Vive. He'll be talking all about that and who doesn't love mini golf. And you get to get insight on developing on the Vive and just what's going on there. And then Wednesday, we have comedy night. Altspace attended their comedy night a few weeks ago as partnership with Jash, and that was awesome. Like, these were comics, legitimate comics from the industry. These were not VR people. They're like, what is all this VR stuff? Like, okay, they're going to give it a shot. So VR Chat, we have comedy nights kicking on Wednesday, and similar thing. We were able to find some legitimate comics from the LA area from Comic Store, and we're going to prototype that on Wednesday. So comedians, or really looking for anybody like that has acting experience or any sort of performance. I think we can set up some really cool virtual performances with these rooms and sets and props and avatars and all this cool stuff. And right now I'm seeking talent, seeking people that want to do their performances in VR, but don't really know what VR, how to get into it is.
Nice. I'm going to wrap up the recording. Gunter, would you mind telling us again where we can find you? Where should we be able to find you? On the internet, the real world, or the virtual world?
Yeah, my address, well, it is, wait, no, I shouldn't do that. My mom told me that's bad. You can find me at guntersuniverse.com. That's really the hub. I don't have much there than just a nice big red button that links you to all the episodes of Gunter's Universe, the playlist on YouTube, as well as like my Skype, my email, my Twitter, my Steam. If you want to find me on Steam, see how many hours I logged into TF2, which is quite a bit, feel free to do that. And then, of course, check out VR Chat. Download it at vrchat.net. Just easy download it. Why not just pop in for a minute, see what happens? You might meet some cool people.
Beautiful. Gunter, thank you again for joining us. I appreciate you being here.
You got it. Thank you so much.